work in the Arkansas blizzard. It's not snowing no more, but it snowed a lot for Arkansas, especially. My little car gets around in it pretty good. Didn't have no issues yesterday and the roads are pretty much, they're okay. They're not terrible, not perfect. But I grew up in this, doesn't really bother me all that much. As long as I can stay away from other people, I'm usually just fine. But my little front wheel drive car usually does great. But how's everybody been? The videos are going to be postponed a day or two. Sorry, it got really dark right here. Turn this on. Because it's 4 degrees right now outside, so I'm not real interested in going out in my garage, even with the heater. So we're going to be postponing them. I'm going to be working on some of my other videos for the sports. I'm going to start doing like a twice a week sports thing, even on the sports that aren't football. So there's that. But I got to get that channel up to 1,000 so I can go live. I can do like a podcast thing. I think I can go live if I just run it through my computer. You have to run it through a stationary, like a thing where you have one location if you don't have 1,000 subscribers. So not like your phone. Oh yeah, the roads are still perfect. This is the most snow and stuff Arkansas's had in like 40 years or something like that. It's been a long time. We got every bit of 10 inches down here, and it's supposed to be 10 more inches Wednesday. And then Saturday it's supposed to be like 40 degrees and then 50 degrees all week. So it's how long it lasts here, usually 1 week. But I mean, the roads are clear. Our road departments have done really good. We have at least one lane on every highway, both ways clear. I mean, when I say clear, blacktop. So they've done really well. I drive an hour to work, and I've been driving. It's normal time. Been leaving at normal times. So I haven't had no problems. Anyways, talking about the crappers. Anyone want to talk about craps? One thing, lately, for whatever reason, I've been getting, I guess it's just new subscribers that I've never seen comment. And I'm kind of rehashing the same conversations we've already had a little bit, which is fine. Everyone is going to, come in with their opinion and their style of craps and all that. And, like I say before, every way is that you can win with. There's no singular way to play craps. So, if you don't like something I do, that's fine. Don't like it. I mean, be comfortable with whatever you play. Just because I say it doesn't mean you should play it if you don't like it. But when I'm talking about my concepts, like about house edge and stuff, that's a thing that I've researched, and I've put a lot of time and effort into it. I'm not just making that stuff up. I have lots and lots of practice and experimentation with why I say certain things that are very different from the norm, because I've put the time and effort into it. Hello Australia in the house. I'm not just making that stuff up, so it's actually time and effort put into it. One guy was saying the anything but 10, you should play it from the don't. Yeah, sure. I mean, if you want to, that's fine. He was saying that the 7 outs were, he was only making $7 or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, don't roll sevens. I mean, the thing is, you weren't losing. But either way, a lot of times, or he probably wasn't playing it right and he thought he was. A lot of times, I've had that a lot. But again, I love all y'all's comments, so keep that up. But sometimes, or they'll come in on a video that's like 5 videos down the line, and they didn't see the first 4 videos where I vetted everything they said. Like I've had a couple comments like that where they're like, how come you didn't do this, this, and this? I'm like, well, the other previous 4 videos, hello Paradise Craps, previous 4 videos, I already did that, And all I'm saying is that I have a lot of videos. I've deleted, one thing is I deleted a lot of live videos. I know, but I didn't delete the craps ones. I just deleted all the football stuff off this channel. So I'm not really sure. I have so many, especially concerning the anything but 10 and the 6, 7, 8. I have so many videos that sometimes it's like, man, I'm pretty sure I already went over this, but I'm not, I'm not always sure. Well, there you go. But another thing about it is guys, craps is an imperfect game. You can do every single thing right in craps and still lose. You can make every play right and you can still lose. For example, let's say you play and you put it all out there right, and you got the dice, and you throw, and you get you a point, get you another couple hits, and then you roll a 10 on your 7th roll. Oh, wow. Do your thing, man. Sometimes you just got to let them hang. Sometimes you just got to let them hang. I definitely have had big bets at risk on the come out roll. I guess you just got to not think about it. Just go with it. Do what you do. Yeah. And that's a lot of things that I try to talk about and try to show. Right. Is just play the probabilities. Eventually, it's going to come out in your favor. And what I get horror stories sometimes. And for whatever reason, I see this happen sometimes. So it seems like gambling, it's not just craps, but gambling works in 2 fashions. Either the person wins the first time they go and they win a good chunk and they're like hooked. Or the first time they try something new in gambling, it's not even necessarily the first time, but the first time they try something new, it just goes terribly. And they're like, oh, that's so wrong. That could never work. And so that's like, there's a middle ground there, and that's where the good gamblers live. Good gamblers, they don't expect to make $10,000 every time they're at the table. They expect to make a percentage of what they put on the table. And that's what their expectation is. They have realistic expectations. That's one of the things that I'm going to talk about in my next beginner video, is having realistic expectations. Don't go like, it's crazy to shoot for the moon and the stars when you can shoot for more attainable goals. Like if you have $500 bankroll and you think you're going to make $500 when you go to the table, that's 100% profit. That's very difficult. I mean, I'm not saying you can't, but it's difficult. It's difficult to the point that in my opinion, if you had $500 and you were looking to make $500, I'm not so sure you shouldn't just play one bet with all of it and go for it. I mean, I feel like that your chances are actually better to grind out. I mean, to win $500 in one session off of $500 by just betting one bet. If you're going to try to grind that out, that could take a long time off of one session. Yeah. And that's another why I was saying that, if all of your money is on the table, if every bit of your gambling money is on the table at any given time, then you should probably be really regulated, everything, because, this is it. If you lose, you can't gamble no more. So I try not to have mine all on the table, and that's why I say I usually take 3 separate bankrolls. Yeah, I mean, do your thing, man. It's calculated. I mean, 480 across is calculated. Yeah, we got about 10 inches, and they've cleared off all our roads and stuff, Cleveland. It is 1 degree out right now. At least my car says it's 1 degree. It's probably a little warmer than that, though. It's probably 8 degrees. It's just the car, it's driving, so. I would say it's more like 8. Oh, yeah. I bet our power does go out when this stuff, when all this stuff starts icing, and I bet our power, because it'll break the trees. Where I'm at is not used to getting, normally our lowest temperatures of the year will be like 18 degrees. We'll have 1 or 2 days that get in the teens like that. And then the rest of the time it's in the, usually right in the 30s. We barely break freezing usually. Just for a very short amount of time. This year we have 10 inches of snow with 10 more inches on the way. It's different. We don't normally have this kind of weather. But it happens every now and then. I haven't had any issues driving in it, in my little car. The little front wheel drive car gets around just fine. But just in case, I do have some things to help me along the way. Like I brought some big zip ties to zip tie my tires if I have to, make it like chains. And, I grew up in Idaho, northern Idaho, in the middle of the mountains. I've had lots and lots of experience of driving in the snow, which is weird because these people down here, they just don't. It's just their experience is very, very little, and you can tell because they'll stop on hills and all kinds of stuff. It's like, what are you doing? Quit stopping. Just go. It's just snow. Just drive. But yesterday, I had to back down a hill and get another run at it because a guy stopped right in the middle of it. So I had to wait till he got pulled out. He got pulled up the hill. And then I just got my run and drove right up the hill. And that's... Yeah, that's something I learned growing up. Just, create chains out of whatever you got to do. I've done it with ropes before. I had a bunch of nylon rope, and I braided them a second time, and then I tied them up on my tires just to get out of a spot. But yeah, I use them big long zip ties. They're like 3-foot long zip ties, but they're the big thick ones. If I get stuck somewhere, I'll just go zip them to my tires, and 7, 8 of them, it'll pull me right out. Easy money. The worst part about it here, what I can tell, is that it shuts everything down. I mean, everything gets shut down. Yeah, carry a little kitty litter around, stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it literally, there'll only be only truck stops will be open in Walmart. It just shuts everything down. And you guys, the roads are literally like the highways and stuff. They have one lane clear on all of them. I can see the dotted lines. I mean, you can get around. I'm driving a Kia Soul around in it with no issues. I drive the speed limit. I can drive around at 60 on these roads if I want. No problem. So I just don't get it. It's not ice. I prefer the roads to be sanded myself, just because the salt does two things. Is number one, salt is absolutely terrible for your car, to get all over in your car, the bottom of your car. And then the salt melts the snow, and so it turns it into liquid, and eventually it freezes. So I would much rather have them just sand everything. Really, I would rather have them just, if you're going to plow it, yeah, I'd much rather have them plow it down to pavement. That's what they've done here. There's no salt or nothing on the roads. They just have plowed it down to pavement. And so that's great. Do that. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just make it so cars this size can drive without having to push snow. And little front wheel drive cars will drive right through it. As long as that weight is over those front tires and your tires have any kind of traction, any kind of tread on them, you'll be able to drive around in it. Now, if you have a big four-wheel drive truck, yeah, that's better. Obviously, you got four wheels turning. But don't drive two-wheel drive trucks around and stuff. This is, people make these mistakes. Yeah, absolutely. I drive down a freeway for a good 20 miles. I could drive all the way to work nearly on a freeway. But one of the main highway that I drive on is a four-lane nice highway. It's brand new, basically. It's a good highway. There's some hills on it, some valleys, but they did a good job plowing. So I could turn it around and show you guys. I mean, they did a really good job here. They activated our National Guard and everything ahead of this storm, so they were sitting there with big trucks and everything ready, and that's unusual for Arkansas. Well, they shouldn't ice up. At 1 degree, it should never melt. In Columbus, on the side roads, I get why you plow on the main roads because of the semis. But yeah, on the side roads where I grew up, they never plowed anything. Why would they plow the side roads? Just drive on them. It's just snow. But unless you grew up in it or you've lived in it a long time, this stuff freaks these people out where I live, because we don't ever deal with it. Last year I don't think we got any snow at all. Maybe not the year before either. We don't even get snow every year. So I mean, it's really unique for us to get snow like this, where it's 10 inches. And we're also going to get 10 more inches Wednesday, they say. Yeah, I mean, normally we don't. We really don't normally. again, it's like I said, my roads are clear, no problem, no issues. Now the road that goes to my work, the little highway that goes to my work, it's not very good. It's got a bunch of these weird hilltop corners that you know, blind corners. And I don't know why my job doesn't get out. It has something to do with the city, probably, sure, or the county. But I don't know why we just don't plow it ourselves. Because there's like 500 people that work at my job that got to come and go down this one road. I just don't know why they don't plow it. But they don't, so whatever. I'll just drive down it. Like I said yesterday, people in front of me stopped. They stopped in the middle of the hill. And then it was a two-wheel drive truck, and they couldn't go in. So I had to back all the way back down the hill and then get a run at it again. I drove right up it. That's awesome, Alex. Yes, and that is one great thing. No, we're just talking, George. We're talking about snow. Do you guys get snow in Cyprus, George? I am going to work. Someone's got to work in this snow. Yesterday was miserable at work, though, because they just weren't ready for this and everything was breaking. You know, our freeze protection is around 18%. George, do you guys get snow? But our freeze protection is around 18 degrees. Oakland, California, I bet there ain't no snow there. You guys have mountains? I know absolutely nothing about Cyprus, basically, so I need to check this place out. Isn't everything in that area of the world volcanic, basically? Yeah, I like the lay odds on the 4 and 10 too. So like so when you said you lived in Cyprus when we first got to knowing each other, George, I literally thought Cyprus was like one of those little islands by Greece. But it's really not. So when you look at it on the map, it's really over there by Israel and stuff. See, I didn't know none of that. I was really, really naive to that. See, I thought it was over there by Greece, kind of. I felt all stupid when you told me that. You know what I felt like? I felt like Americans. I felt like, yeah, this fucking American thinks he knows everything. Like in my mind, I felt like I validated that what they say. I'm really just hammering on us because that's the true. That's that's a true thing. Is in the United States, people from the United States definitely think they know everything. It's very true. Like I got corrected one day, and they're right. Okay, so commonly, what's commonly referred to as America is the United States. Even around the world, people commonly refer to America as the United States. I think it is changing. I think we're getting more cultured here in the United States. But so it's commonly referred to as America is the U.S. Yeah, we do have a huge country that's a lot of people I think don't realize how big the United States really is. It's huge. In uh, it was a very humbling experience for the U.S. We got asses kicked in 2020 without a shot fired. Yeah, it's true. A ton of us don't have passports. Hell, I don't even have a passport. But so commonly people refer to America as U.S. Well, I got lectured and I got made sure I understood that the America is Canada, Mexico, Central America, and South America, and they're absolutely right. Those are the Americas. And I got let know this by a Mexican girl. And she informed me that all of it is America. It's really funny. Yeah, so because I kept saying in America, I was dating this girl is what it was, and I kept telling her, well, in America it's like this, in America it's like that, and she's like, it's all America, and she was jumping my ass about it. But it was funny. That girl was really smart. She was teaching me Spanish. She would only speak to me when we were at her house. She would only speak to me in Spanish, and it used to frustrate the shit out of me. But she was trying to teach me Spanish. But yeah, it was funny. But anyways, does anyone have anything new in craps? I know there's not a whole bunch of new going on in craps, but I'll tell you what, they're promoting these electronic tables like I thought they would. They're starting to show up in every casino, and the reason being is because they don't need dealers for them. they don't need dealers for them, so they're starting to show up everywhere. And I think it is, I think, a full change. Yep. Yeah, Vegas is relaxing restrictions. Really, restrictions are getting relaxed everywhere. They're really getting relaxed everywhere. Colorado's starting to relax some of theirs. Yeah, the restrictions are getting relaxed. I'm telling y'all what, one of the things we should invest in as Craps Nation, we should go in together at Craps Nation and build us a dice house in Vegas, where it's all old school craps tables, because all those dealers, they're going to need jobs, and can build a whole casino that just has craps tables. You take away all the business. You know what's one of the crazy things is, how casinos adjust table minimums? They adjust table minimums during peak hours to generate more income. Right, there would be, what I'm saying is once these electronic tables take over and it kind of pushes out felted craps tables, there will be a market for it. There will be a market for people that actually want to go play on that table, that kind of table. And that's where I think you would gain. Yep. See, craps is a very high labor game. Very high labor game. It takes essentially 4 dealers to run it and a box man. So it's a high labor game. So, but back, when they adjust table minimums, the margin doesn't adjust. They still win the same, they still have the same margins. That doesn't change. So those margins don't change, which is all it does is when you adjust that table, let's say you go from a $10 table to a $25 table. Yeah, it's going to kill the social aspect, because all the videos I've seen of it, you gotta be basically pressing that screen all the time, because there's a time limit, so you always got to be messing with it. And that might be what kills it. That might be what kills the electronic tables, is that the screen moves too fast. That you're not having time to bet. Yeah, well, I think most craps players probably, in the end, won't like the electronic table, because the one big thing I've noticed is the time limit. You only have so much time to be putting your bets up. But so when they bump up their limits, when they bump that up to $25, they don't change how you win. What it does is it eliminates, it takes away certain bankrolls, is what they're attacking. They're taking away they either want bigger play, or they're attacking that mid-level bankroll. That way it's easier for them to win your money. That's not necessary, though. They don't have to do that. They don't have to take away. You could have $5 tables everywhere. and they're still going to make the same margin. Now, they may not make the same dollar amount. That's the difference. They're still going to make the same margin, but not the same dollar amount. I hate that they raise limits like that up and down. I don't mind if the limits, like you go somewhere and the limits are all $25. That's fine. But don't, just because peak hours come, don't raise it up to $25, and mess up the guy that's been sitting there for 2 hours. Now, a lot of casinos will grandfather you in if you've been there for a while and you stayed over the little switch time. A lot of times they'll grandfather you in and say, okay, you can play this level because you've been here. But still, a lot of them don't. A lot of them just say, hey, it's going to $25. It is. It's a time limit thing per shop, per time. Yeah, absolutely. And it's frustrating because they don't have to do it. And it doesn't, some people it doesn't bother. If you're playing $25 bets anyway, it doesn't matter to you. But some people it really does. It really affects them and not being able to play the game. It really, really affects them. And I just hate that they do that. I would really like to be able to have a place that didn't do that. Here's my thing, okay? How card houses work, right? There's places that are just card houses that don't do anything but cards. They do poker. And I get that poker doesn't have anything to do with the house. The house has no money involved in poker. There's no money involved in playing poker for the casino, besides just paying the dealers. Supplying the venue and paying the dealers. There's no other money. You're not playing against the house. So you couldn't do it exactly the same in craps, but you could definitely do it similarly. And this thing is leaking everywhere. Right. And then, that's one of the big reasons why casinos do away with poker, is because there's not a lot of money in it for them. That's why a lot of times you see casinos, they do all the way with their poker rooms. Because there's just hardly any money in it for them. But that's why, like a lot of casinos that have big poker rooms, they hold non-stop tournaments, because that's how they make money. Because that's a guaranteed dollar amount coming in. So like when you go to Colorado, right? Colorado's a big place for this. There is a tournament starting like every hour there. At some little casino right there. When they allowed poker. I think it's still shut down for poker right now. But like there's like a little spot in Blackhawk where like 4 casinos are on one little spot. They're the Ameristar, the Lodge, all of them, and they all have poker rooms. And like every hour, there's a poker tournament starting. And the reason is because they can have a $40 poker tournament with a $10 fee to buy in, and people go pay $50 to sit there and play poker. Well, the casino, they're making $10 per head then. And and as it goes up, and and so I thought that was a way you could do craps, but they need to adjust the scale. Like the way they do poker tournaments is the way they should do craps tournaments. Like the few craps tournaments I've seen on videos, they just turn into everybody throwing it into the field. They just take it and throw it into the field at the end of the craps tournament, which sucks. But if you ran a craps tournament like a poker tournament, which is what I'm trying to work out with Oaklawn, is when they run their craps tournament to let me do it, to let me run the rules of it and stuff, because then it's going to be more craps player friendly. It's going to be, The problem with that is it'll take longer and you'll need more tables. But if you have a big prize at the end and you did it on a blind structure, and the blind structure dimple, all you have to do, it's just raising the table minimum. You start at $10 or $5, and then your next level is 15, and then 25, and then 50. Eventually, you're going to weed players out. And that final table, same way, you start a final table. Well, it's not that they're not profitable. They're just not as profitable as slot machines. So a lot of places, they can put that slot machine in and guarantee 11% off that slot machine. Guarantee all the way up to 14%, I believe. But they set it at 11% or 12%, whatever. It's guaranteed money because that slot machine is geared. It's built in the programming to pay out that way. So it's guaranteed as long as people put money in it. Yeah, they absolutely do. Poker people love it. Poker people usually bring their wives and usually win on slots. Get pay on slots. Yeah, that's a big thing with poker. But so in my craps tournament, yeah, I mean, they make more money square footage though off slot machines, and that's not a secret. I mean, slot machines are the biggest profit generator in the casino. They make the most money off them. That's why there's more of them than anything. But if you just did it like that, I mean, I've got a whole workup of a craps tournament and how it would work and how it works successfully, and how, it would take a bunch of groups of dealers, of course, because if you had 100 craps players show up to a craps tournament, you're going to need at least 12 tables, And so to run it, or if you only had 6 tables, you'd have to run it in flights or whatever. 3 tables, you'd have to run it in flights, like a lot of poker tournaments do. But again, I'm working on this. Obviously not right now with our mini blizzard here, but I am working on it, trying to get them on board with it, because I do think that there's players from all over that would come play that tournament structure, and they would be willing to buy in for big amounts because of the tournament structure. Yeah, they're looking for how much money they can make per second. I do think poker is making a little bit of a comeback, but I think that was based on YouTube. I think YouTube has helped with that. I think YouTube, not necessarily, I think gambling in general. But like the whole structure of the tournament, I mean, I got it all the way down to where there's longest shot pots, like where you can put in for the longest shot of the tournament. There's, like every little angle that craps players love, it would be involved in this tournament. And the casino would make their money based upon, buy-in first of all. And then obviously, whatever the spouses do and all that. But I really think that if you did this, or I did this, and I really think that you could get it promoted to the point that they would become big, like poker tournaments, because there is a lot of craps players out there, and but I think craps players would take to this, but the problem is Las Vegas would steal it, and then it would all be there. They would steal this style of tournament, because they play craps tournaments like slot tournaments or like blackjack tournaments. They're time limited, and everyone just throws their money in the field at the end. And they're terrible. That's a terrible way to play it. Because I guarantee you that if you, like in a poker tournament, if you raise that minimum bet, like let's say it got raised every 2 orbits, every 2 times around the table, it got raised. Because that's the way you'd have to do it, because some players would shoot longer than other players. You know, some players would shoot longer than the others, so every 2 orbits around the table, you raised it 1 level. You know, it wouldn't take no time at all to be at $100 play. And that's going to weed people out. Your people are going to lose, and it probably wouldn't take as long as I think. You know, especially because you'd really have to do well to get to the end. You know, you'd have to do really well. Or get really lucky, like chunk betting stuff. But I just think it's the proper way to do the tournaments. And I think craps players would take to it, because then your low roller, you know, the guy that has $300 could go buy into a tournament and get, like, let's say $5,000 worth of chips and play longer and play his strategy then. Sure, I mean, there's all kinds of little things you could do, you know, like give away things for the longest roller tournament, give away things for like the most consecutive 7s, you know, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I love Casino Quest and everything. I'm surprised they don't do it also. They definitely have, like, they have everything that all the other craps guys don't have. They have dealers, they have multiple tables, they have a lot of stuff that the rest of the craps YouTube doesn't really have. You know, some guys can get together and deal for each other and stuff, but they have real dealers, and they have, you know, they have an advantage on all the other YouTubers. And the one thing I will say about them is, you know, they look out for Craps Nation guys. When Craps Nation guys come through, they welcome with open arms, and, you know, so they're awesome. I mean, they really are. They really look out for anyone in our group. If you're in our group or you're in their groups, they look out for you. They're going to come. They're going to, you know, set up cameras for you. They were talking about it the other day. I mean, they're cool. They're really cool. You know, there for a while, I kind of had a little issue with them, because they were basically, every time a Craps Nation guy came out with a new cool thing, they were ripping it off. And since they can do it better because they have all the equipment, but then I found out that, you know, everyone that goes there, they're looking out for them. So, I mean, that's cool then. They're really part of the group without being officially part of the group, you know? So they look out for us, which is great. I mean, it's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of frustrating me, because like AZ would come out with something, they'd rip it off. You know, Jeremy would come out with something. Now I know them and Jeremy are kind of together, but they'd rip it off. You know, I'd come out with something, they'd rip it off. George would come out with something, they'd rip it off. And so it was, sure. They watch more YouTube than you think. They watch a lot more YouTube than you think, because they know all of our strategies. They know the stuff, and they know who it came from. So they're up on it more than you think. Especially like any of the people that have been to see them, They really do. But like I said, I don't. At first, I was kind of like, well, why do they keep doing this? Every time someone does something, they ripping it off. But the reason is, what I didn't realize is that they're like, hey, these guys are good at what they do. So every time they do something, we need to do what they're doing. And that's what it was. And it's, obviously they can do it bigger because they have a production, they have everything, which is great because, like I said, but like I said, when you go there as the Craps Nation person, they take care of you. If you guys don't remember, a couple videos back, they talked about going through COVID, and they'd said that YouTube and Patreon kept them afloat. So that's us, guys. That's us that watch them. So, and they were thanking everybody. I mean, that was on Dave's interview with them. They were really, really grateful to everybody. And that's when they were talking about, hey, when you come here and you want to make a video, we'll set up everything for you. They're good. They're really good dudes. And I was wrong about them at first, and I'll admit that. But a lot of times I'm wrong at people at first. A lot of times I'm wrong about people at first because my past always makes me not trust people. So normally, instantly, I'm just like, yeah, they suck, But normally, I get righted. But anyway, I mean, and everybody, they welcome people with open arms no matter what, whether they believe in what you're doing or not. If you're part of this community, hello, Skill. If you're part of this community, they help you out if you go there. I mean, it is self-serving a little bit because you're going to get on there and you're going to be like, I'm at Casino Quest, or whatever, which is fine. I mean, that's cool. They're helping you, you help them back. I mean, that's one good thing about this community, this Craps community, is for the huge majority of it, the guys on it help each other. They look out for each other. So there is a lot to be said for this community in that sense. And they're all over the world. People all over the world look out for each other. I didn't really get to watch anything last night because it took me a long time to get home. Sure, absolutely. And that's the way it should be. And you guys know what's funny is as gambling channels go, all the Craps channels are at the bottom of YouTube gambling channels. All the slot channels are at the top. And a few of the table game people. And then there's the queen of the gambling channels, the slot lady, and she does everything. She's definitely on the tip top of it. I would say she's better than Brian Christopher because she does everything. Yeah, I am too. The guys at Craps Nation are awesome. But the slot lady, she is on top of everything. And I have tried to reach out to her multiple times to collaborate with her on a Craps video, but she doesn't have time of day for me. So I've tried. Because her Craps is basically pass line, come bets plus odds. So, I mean, that's very, very basic Craps. But, I mean, I don't know if you guys watch her videos, but she sits there at the El Cortez or wherever she's at, and she plays live for thousands of dollars, buys in for $1,500, $2,000, stuff like that. She's great. Really, really great. I would say that she is the top of the gambling channels. And she's hooked in really well at that El Cortez casino, which helps. But yeah, I definitely have reached out to her on multiple occasions trying to do some kind of collaboration deal. Even if I had to go to Vegas to go to the El Cortez to do it, which is fine. But yeah, she just, and what's funny is she's connected in with that group of slot girls. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of girls that are like slot ladies, slot-o-matic, all these slot lady girls, Claudia slots and different things, and they're all like one little group. It's kind of like almost like Slot Nation, but they all help each other out. They do moderation for each other and stuff. They're a cool group. I wish we could get connected with them. I don't know what you just said. Yeah, you have to roll a lot of times set in the same fashion. Every time you change something, George can attest to this, it's a new set of data. Yeah, I've been reaching out to her, man. I really have. Maybe I need to get on her Patreon. Maybe that'll help. I can maybe get her attention then. That might help. So maybe that's what I need to do. But we'll see. I mean, I've tried to reach out to her. I've tried to, also, I'm not like subscribed to her on Twitter or any of that, because that's not something I do. You know, my wife's not going to be interested in that. So, you know, like I can't go subscribe to this lady on Twitter and Instagram and stuff. You know, she's not going to go for that. So I don't do those things. That's why I don't have that. Man. But yeah, so it's definitely, that's a tricky situation. But if I talked to her about it, my wife would probably do it. She would do that part of it. And that might be the trick to getting it done, is having my wife do it. Maybe we need a woman. Maybe we need Evelyn, or maybe we need Crab's Cat or something, or Angel, or one of those girls. Maybe we need them to reach out to her, and that might be the problem. Maybe it's because, you know, maybe she wants a girl to reach out to her, because her little group of buddies it's all women. So maybe that's the issue. Maybe we need Evelyn or one of those girls to go and reach out. I might have to say something about that. But anyways, guys, I don't know if any of you guys are subscribed to her on Patreon or anything, but if you are, you could definitely plug the nation for her and see what she thinks. The first time I'll be in Vegas, you mean? I've been to Las Vegas, but as a kid. I've never been there as an adult. My plan was to go sometime. I wanted to go in the spring to be there for the poker tournament. I wanted to be there for the big poker tournaments, but I don't know if I'll get there in the spring or not. It really all depends on what's going on with my wife on that side of things. Because my wife is still going through her medical stuff. So if she's not done in the spring, or if we don't have a diagnosis in the spring, I probably can't go in the spring. The weather where I'm at, it's clear now and the roads are pretty good, but I mean, there's 10 inches of snow still. You know, we don't, Oh, the highways are great. They got at least one lane on the highways completely cleared. She's doing okay, but we just need, we haven't got diagnosis. We've got like partial diagnoses, which sucks. You know, we got like, we know my wife has frontal lobe damage a little bit. They think she had some TIAs. I don't know if you guys know what all that is, but it's like little miniature aneurysms. She had it sometime and gave her some frontal lobe damage, which has messed with her cognition and stuff, and some of her short-term memory. But so we haven't got a full diagnosis. Like, they haven't gave us an exact thing yet. So we're working on that. But you know, that stuff takes a long time, and it's even exaggerated with COVID. So you know that they only see like basically one person per month, basically, it seems like, with COVID. Are you going around me? You don't see that red light? What's wrong with you? Oh, sorry, I was talking to drivers. There's people passing people, and but yeah, so I'm with my wife, guys. We're working through it. I just don't. Yeah, it does. It's crazy how it makes people get goofy. But so we're working through it. We're trying to figure it out. It's been a little bit expensive too, because even with really good insurance, there's some of the things they've wanted that have been kind of outside the insurance. Like, we had to go to a like a neuro specialist person, and so like they had like some kind of real specialist, and it was so it's been $500 here, $500 there. Like, we had to drive all the way to Texas for this and stuff, which is fine. I don't care. It's just, it's, you know, insurance tricky. Even though my insurance is great, it definitely, there's times that there's some stuff they don't pay for that's in the middle of this kind of stuff. So I mean, but still, it's not a big deal. It is what it is. We're getting through there. We're trying to figure it out, and we will. Just like everything else, we'll figure it out. Yeah, we had to drive all the way to Texas to see this one specialist, and he's the one that actually gave my wife the partial diagnosis. You know, so he gave my wife said that he was like a guy that does like, he does all these little things to test your memory and all this kind of stuff. And he's like a brain specialist. He knows, like, if you can't remember things, it's this part of the brain. I can't remember. It's some kind of psychologist, neuro thing. It's a bunch of words and letters put together. But anyway, but just, you know, it's like anything else medical, it's expensive. You know, even with insurance, it's expensive. So, and like I said, I have really good insurance. It is a neurologist, but it's also like a neuropsychologist type thing, because he does psychology stuff too. Because one of the things that they were trying to vet is if my wife was just having some kind of psychological thing, where, you know, some kind of anxiety disorder or something like that, because that's what they thought at first. But that guy said, no, it's none of that. She actually has a physical problem. I mean, it's hard for a doctor to tell you, we think you have a psychological disorder, and, you know, you're like, no, I don't. You know, But so we definitely had to go through that. That was hurting her feelings really bad. My wife was not taking that well at all. But I mean, I get it. I don't want people to tell me I'm crazy when I know I'm not. I'm going through the worst part of my drive now, which is down the road that goes to the job. Some. Yeah. My wife doesn't have a problem with the crap stuff because, it brings a paycheck. So she doesn't have a problem with it at all. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, or maybe it does, but off of YouTube alone, I make $500+ a month. So, I mean, there's a lot to be said for putting your time and effort into a YouTube channel if you'll get it. I mean, it's worth $500 a month at my level. So, I mean, she doesn't have a problem with it. That $500 a month comes in handy, I'll tell you. This is the worst corner on my whole road. It's a blind corner on a hill that has a downhill corner on both sides. It's ridiculous. But people did good and didn't plow it, so that's good. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I mean, I do think that I put time and effort into it, but I mean, YouTube is nice, man. Having that check from YouTube, it actually comes from Google AdSense, but it's YouTube. Google and YouTube are the same thing, so Google owns them. But it's nice. It is nice getting a check from them. It's not. I'm being honest. You see that? You get that check every month. It's pretty cool. That's why I think people should monetize and people should get to there. So, it is worth the time of getting YouTube money. I appreciate all you guys for supporting my channel. Every time you guys view, it's a little bit of money. I don't know how much it is, but every time you view, and that's another reason, guys. That's why I have so many ads, because I don't charge for nothing. I don't have subscriptions. I don't do none of that. So every time you guys view, that's why I have all the ads. It's not anything against y'all. That's how I make money at it. I don't want people to have to pay for my content. I don't like the idea of people paying for what I'm giving out for free, you know? But you know, honestly, the ads are, if you watch a lot of YouTube, you should have YouTube Premium. It's not expensive, really. And YouTube Premium, you won't get no ads. So yeah, I know how you feel, George. You're different, though. Guys, I'm at work. I'm going to let y'all go. Thank you for riding to work with me. I appreciate it. You guys are the best.